Hi guys, in this video we will learn about an annotation of a Spring, which is add configuration properties. Before getting into this property annotation, let's see how we use or how we bind the value from application.properties file to the Java classes. So let's say in our application properties file I have defined a field, say my name, and this my name I want to use in my Java application. So let's say I have a controller class or a service class, or inside that service class I need to print this value. Or we can take a real scenario. Let's say in application properties file we have something, secret key. You are going for implementing JWT authentication, and in that you need to have one secret key. Using that secret key you will get a JWT token. So let's say you have this secret key in your application.properties file. Where we are having this? In application.properties file. So maybe you will keep this in application.yml file. It's up to your choice, but any one of the file we have this secret key, and we want to use this field or this value into the application. So let's suppose in the service layer we are going to write a method which is going to generate a JWT token. So let's say like this is the service class. If I write this as a service class, so let's say like class JWT service, and in this service class I'm going to write a method. So let's say I'm going to write a method like public, and it is going to return a token. So a string get token, and here we have some business logic and the way how to implement a token. That logic is inside this method, but to implement that logic we need to have this secret key. So there are multiple ways to use this value from application properties file. So the first approach and the easiest approach would be, you can use like this. Let me erase this one. You can use like this. You can create a variable, right? So let's say I'm going to create a variable saying that private string, I should mention it as a secret key. Any name you can give, right? Secret key. Sorry for the writing. So that's it. So now what you need to do, you need to use @value annotation here, and inside that within double quote you need to write like this dollar, and within curly braces you need to mention the property which you have defined in application.properties file. So you can mention here secret key. So at the runtime this property will be binded with this this field of the class, and we can utilize this inside this get token method. So this is the first approach that we follow to use a property in your Java class by using @value. The second approach would be, we can use a class which instance is provided by Spring, and the class name is environment, and this is the part of Spring core. So if you want to use instead of using this approach, what you can do, using this approach you can directly do in this way. you can go with auto wired, and here you can write environment env, and this will be injected by Spring, and inside this method you can use like env dot get property, and inside that you can mention the property name as a string, and you will get that value as a string here. You can store that in a variable. Okay, so like s is equal to this. So this is the second way to get value from the property file. So now let's see a scenario where you will have n number of properties defined in this property file, and you have to use them in your Java classes. So it would be little difficult to go with either this approach or going with the first approach as well, right? For each, if you have 100 properties, then you have to write this thing 100 times, and if you are following this property, you need to take care of this property name. If there is any typo, then you will not get the values. So that's why the recommended way would be using configuration properties. Condition and provided when you are going to have multiple number of properties and which is of one category. For example, let me tell you, you are writing a code for this application, and this application is going to talk with another application. Let's say it is like app 2 and this is app 1, and there is a call, we can say that REST call we are going to do using REST template. So we need to have few information. For example, we need to have the app2 URL, username and the password, and maybe other endpoints and other details as well. Okay, so instead of writing them inside the property file and then fetching it from here using environment or @value annotation, it would be easy. We can bind the properties defined in the property file directly into the Java class, and we can use them easily whenever we want. It would be very less error prone, and it would be very easy to manage as well. So now I'm going to show you these things in code. So let's get into our workspace. So here is my workspace. I have created a Maven project, specifically Spring project. So let me give you a walk through the application. So this is very simple, a Spring project where I have used DevTools, Lombok, and this is the basic, starter dependency for test, and this is for web. So that's it, nothing else. So this is about the pom.xml file. Now let me go through with application.properties file. So in application.properties file, what I have done, I have written 3 properties, which is the part of downstream application. That's why I have mentioned here downstream.app.username. Similarly, I have password and URI. So this information I'm going to access using the annotation @configuration properties. So this video is about configuration properties annotations. Whatever we discussed why we should go with this approach, and in which scenario we can use this annotation. Okay, so now this is my application.properties file. So let me show you where I'm using this. So this is my source directory where I have annotations. So this is the parent Spring Boot application class, so you can see that. And then the one I'm going to show you, I have created a controller, annotation controller, where I'm going to use those properties. So how I have done that, so let me show you here. I have created a Pojo class using the Lombok data, NOR constructions, and these annotations, and I have used annotation named as configuration properties. and there I have provided value for prefix. So whenever I provide value for prefix like downstream.app, while starting the application, Spring will bind those properties which starts with downstream.app in the application properties file. So these all properties will be binded in this downstream properties class, and you have to make sure that the name of the field should match with the name of the property. So you can see that username, password and URI, I have used the same name here, username, password and URI. So at the runtime, these values will be assigned by Spring. So we will have one instance of this downstream properties class, and we are going to use this in the controller class. So going back to controller, so this is the controller class. What I have done here, we can use @value. This is the first approach what we discussed, right? So if we go to application properties, I have created one success message, okay, and this message I'm going to return inside calling /test endpoint, and this endpoint / properties will return the properties which is which is binded with the help of @configuration properties annotations. So let's run this application and see how it looks like. So I'm going to run this application. My application is started at 80880 port. So now let me go to Insomnia. So I'm using Insomnia instead of Postman. It's up to you which API you are going to use. And let me hit here /test. So let me see the endpoint. What's the endpoint? Okay, let me do in this way next to this. So annotations. So it's like annotations and then /test. So this is the get API, annotation /test. If I hit this endpoint, it will come here. It will try to return the message. What is this message? This message comes from @value success.message, and success.message is defined in the application.properties file. So here is the message. So as an output, I should see your application is working fine. So let me remove this. This is not required, and this is the get call. Let me hit this send button. So you can see that as an output we are seeing your application is working fine, and this value is being fetched from application properties file using the first approach @value. Now what's the second approach? We are going to bind all the values that starts with downstream.app properties to this class downstream properties. So now let's see whether it's working or not. So I have created a get mapping where what I'm doing, whatever it is being mapped, the instance of this class will be injected by Spring, and while creating the instance of this class, Spring will look at this annotation @configuration properties and the prefix value. So if it finds the prefix value in the application.properties file, it will try to bind all the values which all the properties which starts with this prefix. So it will bind these three fields with those properties. So now let's hit this /properties get mapping. Going back to my Insomnia properties. So now you can see that we are getting username, password and URI, and these values are defined in application properties file. So let me just change this value and so that I can show you. So let's say like username is root, okay, and password I can put my name just for simplicity. Okay, now let's save this file. I am using Spring Boot dev tools, that's why I don't need to restart the application. As soon as I save, it should reflect. So my server is reloaded, live reload server is running on port, and Tomcat is started on this one. Now let's go to click on resend. So now you can see the new values. So that's it about this annotation. Let me conclude this. We are going to use this add configuration properties annotation whenever we have a number of properties of same category, I mean which associated with one behavior or one task, and if we want to use them very frequently and they are large numbers like 10, 12, 15, in that case we can go and create a class to get those details into the class, right? But I mean, if we are going to use only one property, then in that case @value notation is more than enough. So that's why I showed you both the properties, both the implementation here. I haven't used environment. Let me show you that as well here. So I can go with this auto wired, and then after that I can use environment. So I can say, right, it's a part of core, Spring Boot core. Then just do this, you will get the environment, and that environment will allow you to access the properties. So instead of directly accessing this message, I can do env dot get property, and inside the brackets within double quote I could pass this message. Or let's create a new property here. Let's say like database dot name equals postcase. Okay, so this is the property value I'm going to show there. So let's go here and mention this. Sorry, it's my mistake. Let's copy, go back to the controller and paste it here. Save this file, save this file. Okay, so both files are saved now. Now we can go ahead and hit this endpoint. So as an output we should get a value as postcase, because we are using this @autowired environment class. Okay, this comes from spring framework.core.env. So let's go to Insomnia, and instead of properties we can hit the test. You can see this postcase. So that's all, guys. I have discussed about whatever we discussed right here. So we discussed there are three ways: @value, environment, and the third one is @configuration properties. Let me write down here: configuration properties. So it's very simple, very short video. Okay, I hope it helped you. So if you really like this video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you very much for watching this video. Bye bye.